don't expect anybody to give our people freedom. We want to stand up against racism. All black people together.
Ooh, I can't wait to see this. A critically acclaimed opera is bringing a civil rights icon to one of the world's most prestigious stages. Through a series of vignettes from his youth to his assassination, X, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, explores the legacy of Malcolm X with a distinct Afro-futuristic twist. The long-gestating project originally debuted in Philadelphia in 1985. And nearly 4 decades after its initial premiere, the show made its debut at New York's Metropolitan Opera earlier this month. Joining me now, the composer of X, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, Pulitzer Prize winner Anthony Davis. Mr. Davis, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show. So what does it mean to you to have this project at the Met nearly 4 decades after its original debut?
Well, it means a lot to me. And it's been a kind of incredible journey from after 40, almost 40 years to see the opera arrive at the Met. We were in City Opera in 1986, and just across the mall from there, from the Met. But it's great in that, and I'm working with Robert O'Hara. It's been a joy. You know, his conception with bringing in the Afro-futurist concept into the opera, I think, has been incredible, and I think is presenting X to a new generation.
You know, how did you go about composing an opera reflecting the full narrative arc of Malcolm X's life?
Well, what it started with was my brother was in a play called Playing Malcolm X and Al-Haj Malik, and when he was acting after the play, he spoke to me about the idea of doing a music theater project on Malcolm, because he noticed in the autobiography how many references there were to music. You know, that you could look at the development of African American music from the 1940s to the 1960s as kind of a parallel to the development of Malcolm's political thought. You know, and so I could capture the music of the late 40s. You know, the music of Ellington and Strayhorn coming from the kind of the end of the swing era, the beginning of bebop, all the way to the emergence of the jazz avant-garde in 1960 with people like John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman and Cecil Taylor.
Mm-hmm. You know, you anticipated my next question because it was going to be about the musical influences in the score. But one thing you didn't mention: Indonesian music figures in the soundtrack. Talk about that.
Well, I was fortunate when I was a student at Yale. I studied world music at Wesleyan University, and my primary focus at Wesleyan was South Indian music. But I also was able to attend and go to hear gamelan music, particularly performances of wayang's, which are shadow puppet theater. And I was so excited about the rhythmic aspects of the music and what I would call this conception of kind of rhythm drama. The way rhythm and dramatic action can be tied together. And it's something that influenced me in terms of the development of my music and thinking of rhythmic structures as the basis of defining, where the drama can be created in the piece.
As we saw in the clip that we played in the intro to our interview, there's a timelessness to Malcolm X's life story that makes the opera resonate, especially with younger audiences. What have you learned from the responses the opera has been receiving?
Well, I think, there's been a tremendous response, especially, as you said, with young people, because when we see young Malcolm and what he had to go through, is the murder of his father, his mother's descent into madness, and her response to her husband's murder. So you see them, and that kind of captured him finally when his aria where he says, "Mama, help me," it captures a lot of experience of young African Americans, saying that you're not intellectual and you should only be doing menial labor, et cetera. So it's very much a part of how any child who grew up, and as I grew up in the 50s, when you remember tracking and stuff in school. So I think and then seeing Malcolm emerge from that, and then the temptations of that, the street offers, when he's in Boston, and then eventually finding his faith and religion.
Can you real quickly talk about the Afrofuturistic framework of the opera, including the use of a hovering spaceship on stage?
Yes, there's a spaceship. When Robert first told me, I thought it was crazy. He said, "Oh, I'm going to have a spaceship crash into the Met." I said, "What? Okay, okay." But the spaceship imparts all this information. I mean, they're using different video technology, et cetera. I mean, you have the sense that the spaceship has gathered the information of Malcolm's story, and then these Afrofuturistic aliens who come to help tell a story. And to me, it allows the story to kind of become almost a dreamscape. Just in a way where we don't have to be. Opera isn't really a realistic form anyway. But the idea of now taking it out of the real time thing and thinking about how we envision Malcolm and what Malcolm means for the future too, what his legacy is.
In the little bit of time that we have left, I find it interesting that we're talking about your opera X at the Metropolitan Opera. Yesterday, at this time yesterday, I was talking with Colman Domingo, who is the lead character in the Netflix Higher Ground movie Rustin. It seems that Black men from the civil rights era are getting their due more widely in popular culture. What do you make of this moment?
Yeah, I just saw Rustin on Netflix last night. It's a fantastic movie. And I think that we're revisiting that past because so much of that. Rustin's story was sort of buried. His important role in the March on Washington, and it's ironic too. George C. Wolfe, when I worked together a lot before. I did the music for Angels in America, and we also did my opera Amistad together. And so I think that we're all confronting this. And trying to bring these stories to life, so that we have a fuller picture of what the civil rights movement was about and also what it means for us today.
And a fuller story of the American story. Pulitzer Prize winner Anthony Davis, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show. Be sure to catch X, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City, running through December 2nd. And also in select movie theaters nationwide. Mr. Davis, again, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show.